12 shocking and scandalous facts about Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley, often dubbed the wickedest man in the world, was a British occultist, writer, and ceremonial magician who lived from 1875 to 1947. His influence on modern esoteric traditions and pop culture is immeasurable. Yet, his life was filled with controversy and intrigue. Here are 12 of the most shocking facts about him. Fact number 1. Childhood religious rebellion. Born on October 12, 1875, Aleister Crowley was the product of a devout Christian family affiliated with the Plymouth Brethren. This religious group emphasized the literal interpretation of the Bible. His father, Edward Crowley, was a dedicated preacher and would often take young Aleister on evangelical missions. Aleister's rebellious phase against this strict religious upbringing accelerated after the death of his father in 1887. By his late teenage years, not only had he started referring to himself as the Beast, a reference to the Book of Revelation, but he also dabbled in sacrilegious behaviors, even at one point claiming he had killed a cat to experience sin. Number 2. Founding of Thelema. In April 1904, during his stay in Cairo, Egypt, Crowley alleged a momentous event. Over 3 successive days, starting from April 8, he asserted that a spiritual being named Iwas communicated with him. This entity, which Crowley considered to be his personal holy guardian angel, purportedly conveyed the Book of the Law to him. This text, written in just 3 days, would lay the foundation for Thelema, a new religious and philosophical system. Its core doctrine, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," emphasized individual will and personal discovery. Number 3. Sexual rituals and magic. Crowley's engagement with magic, a term he coined to differentiate his practices from stage magic, started in earnest in the late 1890s when he joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. In the early 20th century, his focus shifted to what he called sex magic. He believed sexual energy, especially during orgasm, was a potent force that could be harnessed for spiritual purposes. Crowley documented many of his experiments and rituals in detail, sometimes controversially, in texts like The Diary of a Drug Fiend and Magic in Theory and Practice. Number 4. Abbey of Fima and debauchery. In 1920, Aleister Crowley decided to set up a spiritual commune in Cefalù, Sicily, naming it the Abbey of Fima after his religion. This place was to be a sanctuary for his followers, where they could live according to the principles of Thelema. The abbey became infamous for its non-traditional rituals, many incorporating sexual acts and drug use. However, the death of a commune member, Raoul Loveday, in early 1923 allegedly from tainted water but amid rumors of ritualistic practices, led to heightened scrutiny. His wife blamed his death on a ritual he and Crowley were doing. Following the scandal, one newspaper ended up referring to Crowley as the wickedest man in the world. This, coupled with tales of debauchery and neglect, led Benito Mussolini's fascist government to expel Crowley from Italy later that year. Number 5. Spying accusations. During the tumultuous years of World War I, Aleister Crowley resided in the United States, where he frequently wrote pro-German propaganda. This led to widespread rumors that he was a spy, either secretly working for British intelligence or possibly as a double agent. His justifications were ambiguous. He claimed he acted out of loyalty to Britain, trying to make the Germans look ridiculous in the eyes of the Americans. Given his myriad connections and frequent travels, including to Germany during the pre-war years, it's understandable why suspicions arose. Nevertheless, no definitive evidence ever confirmed his role as a spy, and the true extent of his involvement, if any, with intelligence agencies remains a matter of speculation. Number 6. Adventures and expeditions. Beyond the occult, Crowley had a profound passion for mountaineering. Beginning in his years at Cambridge, he joined the Scottish Mountaineering Club and embarked on several European mountain expeditions. However, his most notable endeavor was in 1905, when he participated in an expedition to scale Kanchenjunga in the Himalayas, the world's third highest peak. Despite the team's efforts, the expedition was marred by conflicts and ended in disaster when 4 of the porters died. Crowley's leadership was heavily criticized, with some claiming he showed indifference to the porter's fates. Number 7. Addiction struggles. Crowley's engagement with drugs was both a personal struggle and a component of his spiritual experimentation. Introduced to morphine during his youth as a treatment for his severe asthma and bronchitis, Crowley developed an addiction. Throughout his life, he also explored other substances like heroin, cocaine, and various hallucinogens, believing them to be gateways to deeper spiritual insights. However, these explorations took a toll, leading to periods of heavy dependency, which influenced both his personal life and his teachings. Number 8. Failed Enochian experiment. In 1898, Crowley purchased Boleskine House, located on the southeastern shores of Loch Ness in Scotland. Here, he attempted one of his most ambitious rituals, the invocation of his guardian angel using Enochian magic, a system developed by 16th-century occultists John Dee and Edward Kelly. Midway, Crowley was called to Paris, leaving the ritual unfinished. This, according to him, led to a cascade of paranormal disturbances at Boleskine House, ranging from spectral apparitions to poltergeist activities. The house gained a reputation for being haunted, a claim further fueled by subsequent owners, including Led Zeppelin guitarist Jimmy Page, who bought the property in the 1970s because of its occult connections. Number 9. Animal sacrifices. Crowley's spiritual practices were vast and varied, drawing inspiration from multiple traditions and beliefs. One of the more disturbing aspects, in the eyes of many, was his purported involvement in animal sacrifices as part of his rituals. While animal sacrifices have been an element of various ancient religious practices, seeing them performed in a 20th-century Western context by a figure like Crowley was shocking to many. It's important to note that while he did mention such practices in his writings, the extent and frequency of these sacrifices remain a topic of debate. Nevertheless, such claims did nothing but further cement his reputation as a sinister and controversial figure. Number 10. Dubious Ties. The enigma of Aleister Crowley was accentuated by his diverse and often notorious acquaintances. He befriended, collaborated with, or crossed paths with many influential figures of his time, such as authors Aldous Huxley and W. Somerset Maugham, artists like Augustus John, and even the founder of the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. His interactions and relationships with such figures were frequently colored by rumors and speculations, leading many to wonder about the extent and nature of these associations. Number 11. Publication controversies. Throughout his life, Crowley was a prolific writer, producing vast amounts of material on various subjects ranging from magic to poetry. Yet, his writings were often met with disdain and censorship. In 1929, his seminal work, Magic in Theory and Practice, became a subject of controversy. The British authorities deemed its content inappropriate, leading to a ban on its publication and sale in Britain. This was not an isolated incident. Many of Crowley's writings faced scrutiny, adding to the public's intrigue and perception of him as a dark, mysterious figure. Number 12. Bankruptcy and Decline. The 1930s were a period of decline for Aleister Crowley. He had once enjoyed a considerable inheritance from his father's brewing business, but his lavish lifestyle, travel expenditures, and the costs associated with his esoteric practices drained his finances. By 1935, this once affluent mystic found himself declaring bankruptcy. Furthermore, as the years went by, Crowley's health deteriorated. His long-standing drug addictions further exacerbated his medical conditions, leading him to live in relative obscurity and poverty. The man once dubbed the wickedest man in the world spent the twilight years of his life battling both financial and health hardships.